The end of the season is near for the 2022 Washington, D.C. Region Virtual Racing League as we head to round number 7 of 8 for both the Mustang and the TCR categories that have been racing all winter and towards the spring. Hi, everybody. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn for round number 7 of 8. This time, the penultimate round of the season. Connor, this takes us to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, one of America's finest and one of America's longest-lasting road courses in its original configuration. 2 races on tap tonight. As always, the Mustangs up first, followed by the TCRs.
Yeah, this is going to be a blast. This is one of my favorite road courses to go to. I love Mid-Ohio. I love ripping it in a stock car, usually, mainly an Xfinity car. These Xfinity cars have gone here, but this is such a good track. A lot of unique corners and a few long straightaways that you can maybe make passing opportunities into. It should be fun.
It is a fun racetrack in 13 corners. See the last couple on the bottom of your screen there, just ahead of the booth graphic there. The carousel and turn 13, crucial corners to be good at it. And there's also Keyhole on the other side of the racetrack, turn number 2. This is a downhill hairpin that leads into perhaps the best passing opportunity on the racetrack. Turns 4 and 5, the runoff there known as China Beach, that big gravel trap that's on the outside of the corner. That's going to catch some people out here tonight as well. 16 drivers, the Mustangs, qualifying already underway, and our points leader in the Mustangs, Andrew Pilata, to the top of the board here, Connor. I've been out the last couple weeks. You and Andrew filled in for me for a little while, so thanks for that. But as we get to the last couple rounds of the season, Pilata's lead over Ken Ausil is 25 points. It's a pretty stout advantage.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's going to be hard to take him down without him making a mistake. You're going to have to outrun him in every corner, in every lap, every second of this race, and the race next week. You're going to have to be better than him. But that's so hard to do because he's been better than you all week long. For the most part, the only person to really take him down consistently when he starts is DJ Alessandrini, who's obviously more prominent in the TCR races. So Pilata's going to have to really throw this away if he wants to lose his championship, which obviously he's not going to want to do.
Kyle Herbst in the number 89, 4th here in qualifying. Comes across up over the crest, and this is a very hilly racetrack as well. A lot of elevation change here, especially over the crest here at turn number 9. That's a really easy place to lose control in not only the rear-wheel drive car, the Mustang, but also the front-wheel drive touring cars we'll have later. You'll notice a lot of understeer there. Not so much the oversteer that we'll probably see in that corner at least once tonight. These smaller fields, Connor, have been nice, though, because it allows drivers to be aggressive without fear of falling down to 30th or 40th even. So I think we've seen a lot of aggression out of these drivers and also a lot of really clean racing.
I think one person that's going to benefit from the lower car count for tonight is who we were just looking at, Kyle Herbst. He's had a few instances where it sort of throws him down the order when he really doesn't deserve to finish way down the order. Kind of throw him down there. Some self-inflicted mistakes, some things out of his control, but I think that'll help him a lot, maybe put him on the back burner a little bit more.
There's Eddie Keterakis in the number 13, our 15th driver to lay down a time in qualifying. That will be a 140.496, couple seconds off where he should be. Jake King, nice livery on this 39 car, purple, red, and a little bit of yellow accents, up to 5th in qualifying. Strong run there. And Deacon Greenfield right now scored 14th. Cristobal Rodriguez, the only driver to have not laid down a time. Bob Casera still out on track. Again, pretty short races here in this series, not only the Mustangs, but in the TCRs, Connor. So qualifying is pretty important, even in a field of only 16 cars.
Yeah, just per usual, you're going to be trying to get the best qualifying spot you can just for this little sort of sprint race. It's not fully a sprint. There is still some endurance tactics to this. 20 minutes isn't going to just completely fly by. It's definitely a shorter race than normal, but you do need to conserve your stuff for the end of the race, mainly the maybe 6 to 7 minute stretch at the end where if you don't have the tires, you might start dropping a few positions where you really shouldn't deserve to. So you want to qualify good, but you also have to have a little bit of patience here.
And having a brief look at the weather before we get into things tonight, have a look at the air temp 78, track temp 96. Relatively cool, actually, all things considered. Also, 2 more Track Night America entries will be granted as prizing for this season in the DC Region Virtual Racing League competition. So that's really cool. So the winners of the championships will get those, or however they decide to distribute them. I don't think they've totally decided how they're going to distribute those winnings, but again, Track Night in America entries for those competing here in this championship this season. So with the weather out of the way, Connor, as we look towards the rest of our schedule here, of course, we've got one more race left after this one. It'll be at Olton Park next week. That's a really tight and twisty circuit. So this is your last opportunity to have any sort of track that has a kind of a drafting component to it, and that'll all happen between the Keyhole and Turn 4.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of drivers taking advantage of that. You're going to have such a huge run right before the huge sand pit. That's usually what I call it. It's always what I've called it, but obviously it's not the name of it. But you're going to see a lot of drivers trying to take advantage of that out of a keyhole. A lot of drivers trying to make some pretty daring moves. You might see drivers swoop to the outside in the kink. Might see drivers really dive it down the inside. We might see a lot of contact going into the right-hander. So I think we're going to see a lot of aggression, mainly in those sections of the racetrack.
Qualifying is complete, now heading down to the grid for what should be approximately a 13-lap race. And briefly looking at a pretty short pace lap here, Connor, but let's roll through the grid very, very quickly. On the front row tonight, it's going to be the number 96 of Andrew Pilata and the number 177 of Rob Casera. He'll be on the outside of that front row.
And then the second row, championship rival to Pilata, Ken House-Seal. He's P3. Kyle Herbst, usually at the front, trying to finish up there. Alongside him, he's P4.
In row number 3, it's going to be Jake King in the number 39, alongside Camden Gruber in the 24. He'll roll off in 6th.
With Bob Casera in P7, row number 4, Ido Waxman alongside him. Haven't seen him the past few weeks. He'll start tonight in P8.
In row number 5, Robbie Wilson in the 171. He'll start in row 5 alongside Andrew Chow in the 29 car in 10th.
Adam Kovac has had some solid runs as of late. Not the best qualifying ever. He's P11. Will Robbins alongside him. A beautiful livery on that one. He's P12.
And in 13th, row 7, Peter Lausen in the number 10. He'll start alongside Deacon Greenfield in the number 32 car in 14th.
Running out the final row here, row number 8, Eddie Katarakis in P15. And the only driver to not put down a time, Cristobal Rodriguez, starting last on the grid in P16.
There is your starting lineup here for tonight. Again, I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And again, its claim to fame, besides being one of the only tracks with its original configuration, here in Lexington, Ohio, population 5,000, constructed back in 1962. And the track surface notoriously slick. In the rain here, hopefully that's something we'll get to experience in iRacing, and not too far from now. A very, very, very slippery racetrack in the dry and in the wet. Time to go racing. 15 minutes on the board, and green flag. We're racing. Andrew Pilata, Rob Casera bring us down to start this race. 20 minutes on the board, rather, as we head to turn 1. Oh, trouble!
Oh, a lot more trouble. That's Casera, Bob Casera going around, and that was Jake King spinning off the turn 1 curve.
Oh, and more cars involved. One car slides off course. It was
Robbie Wilson.
Robbie Wilson, yes, thanks, Connor. It was the 171, and Jake King involved in a collision here of separate Genesis. Let's have a look here. Jake King.
That's a new one.
Yes, in front of the 24. I think he's just going to get loose here on the curb. That's what triggered that whole thing, Connor, as we go back up front. Battle for the lead here into turn 4.
That curb can bite. You got to be careful doing that. Robert Casera got the run. There's that draft we were talking about. He's going to make it work. He's going to take the lead away. Pilata doesn't have an opportunity to cross over.
Down the hill now. Over Madness. That's what they call turn 5 and the run down to 6, which we're in right now. Casera leads the way. It's Pilata second. Then Kyle Herbst, Ken House-Seal, Ido Waxman, your top 5 on a wild opening lap and a big wiggle out of Casera as they head into Thunder Valley. And a huge slide over the crest.
Wow. That's Camden Gruber going to go off, and that's Kyle Herbst around. He's going to have to back out. Look out, everyone else. He's going to get off to the side and get out of everyone's way.
That was, and here comes Jake King over the crest. That was an area that we circled in qualifying. That could be a tricky corner for a variety of reasons, and already it's bitten Kyle Herbst tonight.
It's unfortunate. Once again, Herbst sort of compounding mistakes, just can't seem to finish these races. Battle for the lead into turn number 1. It's Andrew Pilata taking a look into turn number 1. Pretty late move, but he's going to make it stick.
Didn't have a lot of overlap, just enough there. Side by side on corner exit. Casera hangs on for now, but Pilata is still banging on that rear windshield and wants to get back by. Leading the points here by a fairly significant margin over Ken House-Seal, who rides third, but you can't rest on your laurels. It's still easily possible for him to lose this championship if he's not attacking. And he's got to stay in good shape, too. He can't crash this car. They put him in a real bad spot for next week.
Yeah, but how about the run Robert Casera is going to have right here? He really hasn't had this opportunity to lead a race. He's had some decent finishes, 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s. No wins on the season. In the back end of a top 10 in points, this is an opportunity for him for sure.
Oh, look at a dive there by Pilata into Madness. Thought about sticking the nose up the inside. This is just nip and tuck right now. Following each other's tire tracks. There's a lot of racing left, Connor, but what you don't want to do is let Robert build a gap. You want to keep him pressured and into making a mistake. I don't think you need to fight extremely hard on the 3rd minute of the race, but I do think you need to stay within striking distance.
Oh, the striking distance for sure. It's where he needs to stay. He can get Casera sort of off his game a little bit, slipping and sliding tires out of corners. It's going to be Palada's delusion. You can already see Casera sort of sliding to rear end through the final corners, and he especially slid it out of the keyhole last time by, so he's definitely on a defensive. Palada not giving him any room to really settle in. He's just kind of running for his life and having to defend a little bit.
Here's Bob Casera all over Peter Lausen for 8th place. Tried to tuck it in and get a run on him, but ran out of racetrack and the door closed up pretty quick. Back up front, 3/10 between the 2 leaders.
And now at this point, everyone's sort of getting their tires heated up. That might have been a case of the lap 1 shenanigans as well. That short pace lap is going to come into play of, you know, not getting the tires warmed up, but Palada's going to be inside now. Here's the race for the lead.
Leaders battling while Ito Waxman got out of shape at the exit at turn 1. Here's Palada to the inside. He's going to lose that overlap though. Casera rides the rim of the keyhole and drives away. But now the slipstream should keep Palada close.
I wonder if Ken Alceel might be saving his stuff here. He's usually fast. He's usually on podium watch every single week, but not really getting up to these top 2 for the battle right now. Could be saving something, maybe waiting for Palada to make the move to the lead, and then he'll probably try to charge past Casera. Oh, here comes a dive.
Yeah, it was a dive. It spooked Casera, who had to leave space on the inside for Palada's car to jam the nose up there. And that wasn't really a place for Palada to pass there. But he means business. He's not waiting around. He's going to try to force Casera offline, even if perhaps that peak up the inside was a bit optimistic.
Well, he might want to hurry, because if Ken Alceel starts to pressure him, then he's going to have to make some sort of move for the race lead, because then it'll be a battle for second, and him and Alceel might get into it, and he might want to be careful because they'll let Casera get away and maybe save his stuff a little bit.
Eddie Ketarakis has had a loop, and I'm curious with the damage on the side of that car if there was more to it. He was battling the 8.
Ooh.
Yep.
There's more to it.
Definitely. So contact there will send Ketarakis backwards.
That's a tough spot. That was Cristobal Rodriguez. He kind of was already showing the nose. Ketarakis didn't really get fully clear. Tried to close the gap. It wasn't possible.
So up front, still the 2 leaders separated by under half a second. That's as large as the gap has been this entire race so far, the first 5 minutes of it. Brake rotor's glowing. I think Palada's a little better through the keyhole here and into turn 4, but turn 4 with that S-curve through 4 and 5, Connor, there's not really a clear side that's advantageous. It kind of depends on how you get through both of those corners. You can make a pass on either the right or the left.
Yeah, you just have to set it up at the right opportunity to make it work, and I don't think we're going to see another opportunity. I don't think we're going to see another dive this time by Palada. Not close enough. He got in the grass out of a keyhole, lost him a lot of time, but he's still going to use that more shallow entry into turn number 5 up and down. They go. Casera able to sort of keep that lead to where it is, and he can maybe relax the tires a little bit because he's been really slipping and sliding trying to defend.
Change for position. Bob Casera past Will Robbins, who got a little hot into turn 4. So move the 4 car, or 45 rather, past the 35 and trade those positions. And as you mentioned, Connor, a lap ago, if Palada were to get distracted by Alceel, that would let Casera drive away. That appears to be what's happening right now with the 23 adding pressure to the 96.
That's what one corner can make all the difference here. That keyhole, Palada got such a poor run out of there, getting into the grass. It let the green and black 177 Casera get away. Now Alceel's able to close right up. Now these two are bumper to bumper. And Robert Casera finally has some breathing room, which I'm sure he was begging to get.
Yeah, 0.8 of a second is out of drafting distance, at least out of. Big slide for Ken Alceel through turn 1. But yeah, 0.8 of a second. You're not completely out of drafting distance, but you're far enough away that Palada isn't going to run that gap down in a single straightaway, which you could do with 2 or 0.3 of a second. So just enough to feel safe. And Ken Alceel certainly didn't feel safe through turn 1 there, Connor. Big counter steer, but held onto it.
And that was because of that curve. That big curve will catch you out. We saw it on lap 1, and we saw it right there. He tried to turn in a little late and maybe grab the curb to grip him up a little bit out of turn number 1, but it just jacked him way sideways, and he almost couldn't save it and took him off of Palada's rear bumper, so he's got to sort of gather it up and cool the tires back down and catch them all back yet again.
Palada taking big chunks of curb out of turn 4. He's definitely better into madness than Casera and Alceel. But we'll move back to the battle for 10th place. Jake King on a recovery charge after that crash on the opening corner of the opening lap, trying to go the long way around to Greenfield.
Actually just a little slide. I don't know how no one hit him because he was right in the middle of a track out of turn 1, which is exceptionally dangerous, but he's recovered and he's going to be able to maybe pick off a few positions and keep it clean. Right behind Greenfield, as you said, Peter Lausen just up ahead.
And behind all this, Kyle Herbst and Cristobal Rodriguez. Both of these drivers have had trouble. Rodriguez got into the side of Katarakis a little while ago, and some fairly obvious right side damage and some rear damage. So he's been into somebody and gotten hit by somebody as Katarakis is in the fence again.
I think he just slid that time, but he's already had substantial damage. The car just not handling how he wants to right now, as Hausiel has another slide through one, saves it, but we'll see up and down. It can really easy to get the rear end light out of that corner, and that's exactly what happened there.
Yeah, just again coming over the crest, all the weight shifts upward. That's through the corner they call Madness as we go back to turn 1. Deacon Greenfield chasing Lausen, and King is chasing Greenfield. So it's kind of the cat chasing the mouse, chasing the bug, and dive by King into turn 2. That was a big move, and he's going to make it work.
Yeah, that was a huge send under braking, and he was set on making that move, and he made it work. Greenfield luckily gave him a bit of room to make that happen. Now he's got his sights set on the 10 machine up ahead.
Down the back straightaway now, speeds climbing north of 130 miles an hour. For Lausen and King, it will be 132 before jumping on the brakes again for turn 4. As we move back forward, Pilata is slowly chipping away at Casera's lead. It's now down to 0.4 of a second.
I don't know what happened in Madness, but that's where it seemed like Casera lost a lot of room. Both drivers in the grass as they both start to pull away from Ken Hausiel as he starts to sort of slide down the order, sliding tires and sliding down the order at the same time. But Pilata much faster this lap than the 177.
It's really difficult to keep the rear tires cool when you start sliding around like this, Connor. So even in a 20-minute race, you have to respect the rear tires on these big 3,600-pound Mustangs. It will be a bad day if you overdrive them, and then you need to move forward again. Once you burn them out, you're burned them out. So Pilata being very careful right now not to slip and slide. We've seen it hurt Hausiel big time.
Little slide from Pilata, but nothing like we've seen from Casera, and definitely not what we've seen from Hausiel. These two are going to sort of start to scrap a little bit here as we sort of inch in on the halfway point, actually exactly the halfway point just about, as it's about to be go time in a few more minutes, a few more laps, as these drivers are going to put tire saving out the window. They're going to have to give it their all.
Yeah, about 9.5 minutes to go, and when we get to the last 2 or 3 minutes, that's when it's going to be really go time. I think Pilata can afford to sit in behind Casera and keep the pressure on. I think you're better in an offensive position than a defensive one. There are places to pass around here. I don't think it'll be a huge challenge for Pilata to make that work.
We'll see if turn 4 is about to be a passing zone for 9th. Jake King closed in on Peter Lausen now, and he's going to look drivers right. He'll get as much slipstream as he can before doing that as well. And he's going to make that dive to the inside. Big dive under braking again. He's able to make it work.
Crosses over, though. Here comes Lausen back to driver's right. That should be a pass for King regardless. He's been extremely good on the brakes. Brave for sure, braking a lot later, but these Mustangs do have ABS, and you can trust it. You can lean on it pretty heavily in these cars.
Yeah, he definitely has been leaning on it. Definitely the most aggressive under braking today so far, but he's making it work after his mishap in turn 1. He's able to get him back up to P9. We'll definitely have a chance at 8th place Will Robbins. After that, a long ways up to the tide ride of Bob Casera, but a good recovery drive.
9 minutes to go, and Pilata is back to Rob Casera. It's 2.5 of a second between the front two, and it's game on here, Connor. Casera and Pilata.
Hausiel only a 10th faster last time by. Faster for sure, but I don't think he'll get there unless they really start battling. Casera, Robert Casera here in the keyhole, he's been taking a sort of diamond approach, entering high and exiting low, but he's gone a little bit protective that time by trying to make sure he doesn't get the dive bomb from Andrew Pilata. It's going to hurt his exit, but he does still open up a bit of a gap out of the keyhole. There's
a couple different ways you can run the keyhole, and I had the experience in real life riding with DJ Alessandrini in his Honda Civic GLTC car on road tires in the rain. And I mentioned earlier how slippery this track is. It really exemplifies the lines and the differing approaches you can take to the keyhole and how many different ways you can run it. But Pilata running turn 5 very shallow and closed in on Casera. I think if Pilata's going to have a look anywhere other than turn 4, it's going to happen in turn 5. He's going to dive up the inside, and Casera better be ready for that assault.
Well, it might be contact in the turn 5 because maybe...
Oh, there he goes. Casera slides. He drops the tire on the left and right in front of Hausiel, who clobbers him.
Oh, that's a shame. It's so easy to put the left sides in the grass there, and it just bit him big time. That is such a shame.
It's so easy to do, as you mentioned, Connor. This is something that I've seen a handful of times right here, just too much. Drops the tire and slips and slides. And here, nothing that Hausiel can do to miss it. That's a big hit. That'll probably end Casera's day. He's going to have to limp it back.
Yeah, that's it. And how Seal's going to have to limp into the pit lane, so both these drivers are likely going to be done. Nothing really Robert Casera could do. He got on the brakes, and there's just nowhere for Hal Seal to go once he's in the driving lane, in the main lane right there. It's such a shame. Both those drivers are putting on a heck of a show.
That was exactly what Pilata needed, though, not only in the race, but in the point standings. Again, he comes into the night leading by 25 over Hal Seal. So with Hal Seal now in the pits and will finish outside of the top 10 most likely, that is going to be it for Hal Seal's championship hopes, I would guess, Connor. I don't think there's a way you can come back from that.
And he's going to retire from the race for sure, and that should be, I would believe, a 15th place finish. The only driver off track before them was Kyle Hurst, so it's going to be very crushing for any chance he might have had.
Here's Ito Waxman on Adam Kobach. Adam in the 85 running third right now. Kobach is actually fourth in the series standings, and a slide through turn 4 opens up the door for Waxman, and contact there, a push.
I guess if you can't get to the outside of him, you could try to hit him there, but it's not recommended. You see the damage it put on the 4 machine's front end, and it really didn't do anything to the rear of Kobach's machine.
Yeah, the front, again, these cars are absolute brutes. I don't think the damage that he received in that will be significant, but it's not going to help him. You don't really want to bash your nose in, and I'm not sure how much of that was intentional, or how at least the severity of it at that point.
No, it definitely wasn't intentional. It just stacks up so much into that corner. You don't really want to go to the outside because you might get loose trying to get on the throttle too early, and you just kind of want to ride behind him, but that can easily happen. We've seen so many wrecks there.
5.5 minutes to go. Andrew Pilata leads by 9 seconds. The battle is for third. That's the one you're watching now. Kobach in the white car and Waxman in the black right behind him.
Yeah, this is opening up the podium for these guys. Andrew Chow, we haven't talked about him all race. He's gotten from 10th all the way to the 2nd position thanks to the misfortune of Robert Casera and Robert Casera and Ken Hal-Seal, but he's had a very smooth drive up the order so far. And Kobach still trying to defend for that 3rd position. Really chopped the note of Waxman there.
And as those two fight, don't count out Bob Casera. He's only 1 second back. So it's a 3rd place fight for now, but we could even bring in the 5th place car if they continue as is. And Lausen and Robbins continue to battle for 7th. So we're not done yet. We've still got 5 minutes of racing left to go, and while the lead battle has dissipated, the ones throughout the rest of the field are still raging on.
Yeah, the battle for that 3rd place spot's going to get pretty rough, I would say, as I think we're going to get 5th place involved. Kobach really slagging the rears right now. Waxman definitely on the offensive, but just can't find a lane by. Maybe too offensive there as he almost slides and almost goes around into a guardrail, but he's able to keep it clean. Yeah,
burning those rear tires off again. Big slide there for Kobach on the entry to Thunder Valley. And this is what's going to be the death of these drivers. You see Casera doing the same. And the track temperature is probably rising as well. It was 96, and now, well, it's actually down a couple degrees. So that's going to work in their favor. But I don't think the track temp is going to matter all that much when you start moving those BF Goodriches sideways across the racing surface. It's just generating so much temperature. That's a negative thing here at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, especially at this track, which already seems like a worn-out surface from the very get-go of this run. It's just going to get worse and worse no matter how much the track cools off. You're going to be slipping and sliding by the end of a run on these sets of tires. It's just so difficult to not have that happen because of how much these tires wear.
Yeah, there's just something about this asphalt that has never really lend itself to a lot of grip. And you hear drivers talk about, of all the places they're afraid of driving in the wet, Mid-Ohio generally goes to the top just because of how slippery it is and how many rivers of water will run across it. When it rains here, it rains for real, and this track surface just becomes total ice. And in the dry, it's not that much better. It's still one of the lower grip surfaces. It almost feels like the Japanese tracks that have shells in their aggregate that they use in the recipe for the asphalt. It just does not have a ton of grip in it. Waxman right to the edge of the racetrack through turn 4 and 5. He is still battling for third here as we get down to the final 2 laps.
It's about as far as you could cut it out of turn number 4 and turn number 5 without sliding the left sides into the grass and maybe taking out Kobach if he did that, because he wouldn't have been able to slow down. That was almost close. Don't get the left sides off here. We've seen that go badly. All 3 drivers involved in this battle for the podium spot.
Kobach had to jump on the brakes mid-corner, and that's going to slow him up and bring Waxman back into the mix. That was a mistake for the 3rd place car. Casera is right behind, and that added pressure from the tide ride, as you mentioned, is going to create the chaos for P3 that Casera needs to get by both.
Yeah, Waxman's going to have to go here because I think Bob Casera is a little bit faster than both of them right now. Waxman, a little bit of damage won't affect them too much, but it's definitely going to be an afterthought maybe at some point in this run trying to get this third place position away. He's going to have to make some sort of move if he doesn't want the tag rod to get by him.
Yeah, 2 minutes to go, so the next time by will be white flag, and Kobach and Waxman will both know that, and so will Casera, who has a look at Waxman, who's going to take a huge dive up the inside.
Wow.
That's optimistic. He's going to tag Kobach, send him up the racetrack in the keyhole, and here comes Casera.
That was a big dive bomb very late, but I guess it's going to work in a sense. Kobach's going to get the run back down the long straightaway here. Where does Bob Casera go? Does he push someone? Does he go 3 wide? I wouldn't try 3 wide in turn 4, but I've seen it work barely sometimes.
He's going to elect to go to the 85, who's got more of an advantage into turn 4, but Waxman again later on the brakes. Kobach's out early, 3 cars battling, 2 laps to go here in Mid-Ohio. Waxman's got the spot, and now it's Casera that's going to grab 4th place from the 85 car.
Not quite. He does stay on the inside, but they're going to be 2 wide. It's not going to be any surrender from Adam Kobach. He's going to make it work around the outside, get the edge back, but they're going to stay side by side. And Ido Waxman, is just going to pull right away.
Yeah, this should be Casera's corner here to keep the overlap and complete the pass, but they come out dead even, Connor.
They're going to get that even. Kobach doing a great job defending. Sort of lost that position a little bit unfairly to Waxman, but he's going to try to make it work to the inside. Casera sliding off, almost spins. He's able to save it back on track. Jake King will go by. That's going to lose his shot at any podium.
Well, that was a wild moment there, so give Casera, or King rather, Casera's spot. White flag for the race leader this time through. And it's Andrew Pilata by 11.5 seconds, and he will continue to extend his points lead. Then it's Andrew Chow in the 29, Ido Waxman, who muscled his way by. A little physicality there on Kobach. Kobach remains 4th, and it's King and Casera 5th and 6th.
Yeah, Will Robbins, Peter Lausen, they've been battling back and forth for that position. I believe Lausen got by Robbins. Robbins got him back at some point. They'll stay pretty much bumper to bumper to the end, but this is pretty much why Andrew Pilata is able to win a lot of races this season, and he's been able to stretch his points lead all the way out to just about being impossible to beat. He's just been so consistent, and at times the fastest car on the track most of the time. It's just very hard to beat that
I remember
combo.
how he got by Casera. It wasn't just passing him. He made Casera make a mistake. Got him nervous, and Casera just overdrove the downhill towards turn 9. Basically right where Pilata is here. He uses every bit of the racetrack, but Pilata didn't make mistakes. Other drivers did, and that's going to put him in position to win this race tonight.
Yeah, it's been pretty smooth. We kind of saw that happening. We saw him pressuring the 177, and we sort of figured that that might come back to really work in his favor with how he was making Robert Casera wear out the tires, and it definitely helped, and he's going to pretty much cruise to victory here.
Well, all but 2 wins have been Andrew Pilata, and that will stay this way tonight. Pilata wins Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in the Mustangs tonight after inheriting the lead from Rob Casera. Andrew Chow from 10th to 2nd, a solid run in his number 29, that Ido Waxman, who muscled his way by late in the going. He will be on the podium in the number 4. Then it's Kobach and Jake King, the rest of the top 5. And how about Jake King rebounding? Started 5th, finished 5th, but that doesn't tell the whole story. He spent the entire race fighting back from an early spin.
That's the most unconvincing 5th to 5th ever. He fell way back after his turn 1 spin, literally spun it almost the first opportunity, but he persevered, put up some really good laps that almost rivaled the top 3's time earlier in the race, and he was able to get back to the top 5.
Here's a look at your race results. Top 10 in front of you: Pilata, Chow, Waxman, Kobach, and King. Then we mentioned Bob Casera, who had that big slip late in the race that gave up the top 5 spot to Jake King. Peter Lausen had a good fight with Will Robbins towards the end, and here's the rest of the order, Connor. Casera, Hausiel, both out with crash damage after that slide.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Those two were definitely going to fight for potentially the win. They were definitely pretty much set for the podium, but that's how easy it is to really make a mistake at this track. There's so many corners that are pretty much different in every facet, and it was just one little mistake can just put you way off. And unfortunately, Hausiel was just an innocent bystander in that.
Certainly was, and Kyle Herbst also did not have the race that he was looking for. Ended up down the order a little bit, Connor, and that could have gone better for him as well.
No doubt about it. We've seen that, unfortunately, a few times from Herbst this season, also in the TCR season. He's got a lot of speed. We've seen him contend for wins, and he almost had a win at the season opener in Summit Point, but just little mistakes every little bit just cost him so much, and it's definitely not the finish he deserves tonight, and it's been sort of that way all season long, unfortunately.
Well, we've got more coming up next. It's going to be the TCR race here for the WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League. So TCR races, front-wheel drive touring cars up in a few minutes. We'll be right back.
beautiful weather here at Connecticut's Lime Rock Park, the foothills of the beautiful Berkshire Mountains. And here at Lime Rock, Bill, even though we have great conditions, it's a racetrack that can produce surprises.
There were a lot of tracks that opened in the 1950s. Didn't matter whether it was Europe. Obviously, we're coming out of the Second World War. I've driven some great tracks over my years. You know, I've raced at Spa and the Nürburgring and everything else, but okay, it's 1.5 miles, but it doesn't give anything away to those guys, quite frankly. Lime Rock is easy to learn, but it's very difficult to master. There's a lot of subtleties there. Big Bend, which is relatively flat, you know, that's a turn that you have to really, really hustle. Come out of that and you go into the left-hand, the slowest turn on the track. Then you get to the big challenge, which is the uphill. To go fast in there, you do something that you're taught all of your life not to do, is you turn in early. But you have to trust the fact that when you turn in early, the hill is going to catch you. It's West Bend, it's pretty conventional. And then you go to the downhill or diving turn. A great instructor, Terry Lear, would have always used to say down there, is like, son, you lift in the downhill, 365 days from today, you'll still be dead. I'm continue to be fascinated and challenged and everything. Lime Rock has endured the test of time, but it's a leap in faith.
There are some tracks and some cars that just make sense together, and two of those pairings would be the TCR cars and the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the DC Region Virtual Racing League. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn as we head to our second race and final race of the night in our 7th round of 8 in the 2022 Winter Championship. Connor, we just saw the Mustangs race. They put on a good show as always, but the TCR cars and iRacing have not been a letdown at any point this season. They have been phenomenal to watch, and I can't wait because Mid-Ohio is it's basically like our version of Brands Hatch. It's just a perfect place, other than perhaps Lime Rock Park in the United States, to replicate some of the best touring car racing in North America.
Yeah, it's so fun. Every single TCR race has been a blast. There's racing for the lead, there's racing for 20th, there's racing pretty much everywhere on this track you could think of. They might be racing in the keyhole, they might be racing in the S's, they might be side by side there, Thunder Valley, you name it. It's been so fun covering this season, especially in the TCRs, but definitely the Mustangs have been entertaining as well. But these TCRs and these drivers, they just wheel, and it's an absolute blast. It's gonna be a blast tonight.
Well, DJ Alessandrini continues to lap here in qualifying. Qualifying is underway now. Another guest here tonight, as always, at a place like Mid-Ohio. In a car like this, you'll find yourself Tom O'Gorman, a 4-time winner in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge Series, 2-time Pirelli World Challenge champion, and competitor in the SCCA and Grid Life across a variety of different classes. He's back tonight. Ken House-Seal, who we just saw in the Mustang category, is back in TCR. Ido Waxman, Andrew Pilata, and more. Andrew in the Hyundai Elantra N. And this has been interesting to watch the different car choices. Of course, there's 3 different makes and models to choose from. And Connor, they've been on pretty much equal footing for all but maybe 1 or 2 rounds.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's been a few races here or there where you might excuse me, I think we might have seen maybe Honda dominant races, but I don't think this is one of them. I'm seeing a lot of variety. I'm seeing a decent amount of Audis, more than what I'm accustomed to. Obviously, we have the Hyundai, but definitely variety is what I've loved to see from this TCR class race. It's been a blast to watch every single manufacturer have a chance to win so far this season.
I think one of the drivers we have to pay attention to, you know, we talk about guys like DJ Alessandrini and Tom O'Gorman, but looking at the points, it's actually Morgan Burkhardt who's leading the championship here in this series as we approach one final round, and there he is in the number 4. And so far this season, he's only won once. He's lost 5 other times, or 6 other times rather. But he continues to be a dominant force week in and week out in the top 5 here in the TCRs. And let's be honest, he has not necessarily been at the pointy end in every series we've ever done here in the DC Region SCCA Virtual Racing League, but this car has clicked with Morgan.
Yeah, he's been so consistent and so smooth, and it's just really the only person keeping him away from a potential championship is DJ Alessandrini. The saving grace for Burkhardt is Alessandrini missing 1 race, which gave Burkhardt that points lead. Alessandrini did win last week at Brands Hatch, so Burkhardt's going to have to step up his game a little bit and try to run with the 61 of Alessandrini to have a chance to maintain his championship lead. But it's going to be hard to do when Alessandrini is putting up lap times that no one else is putting up.
Jack Chrissy is also doing well in the point standings, currently listed in 3rd place. He's raced 6 times, has 3 top 5s and 6 top 10s. He's been mighty consistent, but he's 32 back from Morgan Burkhardt as the leader. But Andrew Pilata is right there, only 3 points behind Jack. So there's going to be a pretty good battle, not only just at the front of the field here, but also 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th as those guys continue to fight for every spot they can in points. Alessandrini on provisional pole with a 129.98, and Tom O'Gorman 2.5 tenths back at a 130.232.
Yeah, in practice, the only 2 drivers to put down minute 29 laps were Alessandrini and Kyle Herbst, who is 2nd in practice. So we'll see what Herbst can do. He's, I believe, 4th right now with a 130.378. He's on his 2nd lap right now, but O'Gorman maybe keeping tires a little bit cool, aiming for the 2nd and 3rd lap to be the money lap. Alessandrini's obviously got something cooking for sure.
Well, and Kyle Herbst has really embraced these touring cars ever since they came out a couple years ago with just the Audi RS3. Consistently seen him across Sim TV in a variety of series running this TCR car. Now has found a home in the Honda, currently 4th. Todd Rushing jumps up to 8th place. Caleb Patry, Will Robbins, the rest of the top 10. Jermaine Major in the number 2. How about this Audi? Bright green and black. Great livery on this car. Tequila Patron livery that you've seen in LMP competition across the world. Kind of a cool paint scheme to bring back.
Yeah, very sporty as well. Looks mighty fine on that Audi as he's going to go sort of down maybe a partial back straight into turn 4. We'll see what type of lap time he can put down. First lap wasn't clean. One of 4 drivers not put down a lap time yet as he sort of slides into the corner. Carlos Pratt, Robbie Wilson, Ito Waxman, the only other drivers to not put a time down yet.
Here the car lose grip over Madness and had a lot of wheel put in it. This is probably not going to be an incredibly quick lap. But one of the other things that we always have to mention when we come to Mid-Ohio, Connor, is when you race here in real life, you don't ever start the race on the front straightaway. You actually start at the exit of the keyhole and on the back straightaway before turn 4. And that really, I think, would change a lot of how these races go. But unfortunately, iRacing has not implemented the different start line here in the simulator. So we always have to start on that front straightaway, which, again, I think changes how these races flow and therefore how important qualifying is. I think it's even more important now that you start in a place that leads onto some shorter straightaways versus one longer one.
It definitely changes strategies going into the first few corners as well. You got turn 1 and then the keyhole, but you don't really have a lot of straightaway to think about what you're going to do. As in real life, when you sort of start in the kink going into turn number 4, you kind of know what you're going to do. You have options. You can go inside, go outside, back out, dive bomb. You kind of got your mind racing a little bit more by starting down there, but because you're starting on the front straightaway, you really don't have much time to do anything other than just stay in line because you don't have a big run up to turn number 1.
Andrew Pilata knocked Tomo down to 3rd, but then Tomo took it back, goes back into 2nd on the timing and scoring. Ito Waxman on track right now, and this livery, which I was making fun of on the Grid Life side a couple days ago, Ito actually works for Pratt Miller, which is responsible for the Corvette C7, C8R, and all those things. He's got the GTLM markers on the side of it. This is the livery, and you can even see he's put the vents on the side of this Audi. So no Corvette TCR car, but Ito is doing his best impression.
He's generous to put Michelangelo, the Ninja Turtle, on the back of that Audi as well.
He even committed to the red end plates and wing mirrors, but
yeah,
it's something. As it looks like he's having some connectivity problems. Carlos Pratt is the only driver to have not taken a qualifying lap. Jermaine Majors on track right now, scored 19th, about 3.8 off of the pole time.
I think almost everyone else is finishing up their laps. Waxman and Robbie Wilson and Jermaine Major, the only 3 drivers on track right now.
Across the start-finish line, 2 minutes left to go here in qualifying. And Jermaine will pick up, looks like about a 0.6 of a second, a 1:32.941. Robbie Wilson goes a little bit quicker than Ito Waxman, goes 16th quick. And Carlos Pratt just leaving the box now, and he's not going to have enough time to get a lap in, regardless of how good that livery is. It is very, very striking.
Yeah, it's a beaut for sure. Just maybe get a few practice turns in, because obviously not enough time to set a flying lap. We'll just get a feel for what the car does. Did not put a practice time down either, so this is his first time in the car. Just trying to get used to what he's going to feel.
Yeah, definitely not enough time to complete a lap, but he will, as you mentioned, get a couple of corners in here to get the car down and shake it down. You can see him working that wheel back and forth, just feeling out the brakes. Unless he thought that he was going to get a full lap when he picks up the checkered. But I don't even think he's going to get back to the stripe before the timer runs out. And even if he did, with single car qualifying, you don't get the cooldown time. Once the checkered falls, it's game over and session over.
We'll see. This is going to be a pretty interesting start. We saw in the Mustang race that short pace lap. We didn't really talk about it, but that short pace lap sort of hurts these drivers. You don't get enough time to warm up the tires as you would on a full pace lap. And we saw a lot of slipping and sliding and spinning into turn number 1 in the Mustang. So we'll see what happens in the TCRs. But you're only going to have basically 2 corners to warm up those tires before going green. So these drivers have to be careful here.
I think it's a good point to make, and we always talk about cold tires in these cars and how long it takes to warm everything up. But with such a short pace lap, you really don't even get an opportunity to even try. So you go off into turn 1 with everything super cold. It takes 1 or 2 laps to really get everything even close to temperature. So that's a factor as we head into our final race of the evening here, Connor.
And it makes it even more important to qualify up front, as Alessandrino, Gorman, Pilata, and those guys have. Cold tires, we're going to be maybe on track for a little bit more chaos than what we've used to been seeing. So being at the front of that, possibly in front of the chaos that might ensue, is a pretty big step in the right direction from getting a top 5, top 10 finish. Well,
it's now time to head down to the grid and start our last event of the evening. Let's roll through our starting lineup here as they jump on the grid here, Connor. On row number 1, it's going to be DJ Alessandrini, the number 61. He'll start alongside Tomo Gorman in the number 94 in second place.
Another big row behind him, row 2, Andrew Pilata, the Mustang winner tonight, P3. Alongside him, Ken Alseal, who was on the podium before the incident. He starts P4.
In row number 3, Jack Chrissy in the number 6. He'll start alongside Kyle Herbst in the number 89. That's that pink Honda in P6.
the points leader by 3 points. Morgan Burkhardt in the 7th position. Not the best qualifying effort. He'll have to charge to the field to get Alessandrini. Alongside him will be the 898 of Caleb Patry.
In row number 5, Faraz Barzinji in the number 125. And to his outside in 10th on the outside of row 5, Todd Rushing in the number 12.
Second place finisher in the Mustangs tonight, Andrew Chow, and alongside him will be Peter Lauzon, who had a great battle for the 9th position at the very end of that one. Just barely apart in times. He'll be P12.
In 13th, Will Robbins in the number 35. He'll start alongside Camden Gruber in 14th in the number 24 car.
One of the more consistent drivers in the field, Adam Kovac, starts 15th. Robbie Wilson will be alongside him in the 16th position.
In 17th will be Ito Waxman in the number 14, and Deacon Greenfield starts in 18th in the number 32.
The last 2 drivers to put a time down, 19th and 20th, row 10, Jermaine Major and Cristobal Rodriguez, with 21st place Carlos Pratt, the only driver to not put down a time, rounds out this 21 car field.
Pace car peeling off now and beginning the very short parade lap here. You can already see tires slipping and sliding. Very tense moments here as we get set for about a 14-lap race. Again, 20 minutes on the timing and scoring. That will be what we're racing for. 2 Hondas up front, then a Hyundai and Honda in row number 2, followed by another row with a Hyundai and a Honda. Then 2 more Hondas behind. The first non-Honda or Hyundai is way back in the order. There's a couple Audis, but they're back in row number 5. Final corner here under pace conditions. Time to go racing. 20 minutes. Green flag flies. The WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League. Round 7 is green. Whoa, a couple cars scattering. Kyle Herbst gets knocked off sideways. Going to collect some cones in the splitter. That'll be a big distraction. Going to slow the car down. 3 wide for the lead. Here comes Tomo around the outside.
Wow, really stuffed it to the outside. I don't know how he got to the outside of Pallotta. They made it work. Pallotta's still trying to get Alessandrini for the race lead as they were 3 wide. I can't believe they made that work, but Pallotta's just barely there.
Got overlap now down the back straightaway towards turn 4. Herbst has rid himself of the cones, but Pallotta's got the nose ahead, and the Hyundai now breaks early for turn 4. Now they're looking at them both bobbling. Here comes Tomo.
Andrew Chow, Peter Lauzon, big hit into the tire barriers, but they're in the back as they door for the race lead. Alessandrini and Pallotta trading paint a little bit. Pallotta, a big pass for the lead.
I think this is what Tom needs to get by Alessandrini, is have Pallotta out front to hold up DJ just a little bit. All he needs is a couple of laps to dispatch the 61. Perhaps that's the greatest competition for Tom, is DJ in that number 61 hybrid racing car up over the crest at Thunder Valley and down the back straightaway. Pallotta actually gaining an advantage.
Now Pallotta's going to be in a different position from where he was in the Mustangs. In the Mustang race, Alessandrini really stretched the corner wide there. Pallotta was on the attack. He was putting the pressure on the Robert Casera in the last race, and he was able to wear his tires out. This time, could be Alessandrini in Pallotta's position, and it'll be Pallotta possibly wearing the tires out on the defensive.
Jack Chrissy thought about going to the inside of Tomo in the final corner, and he thought better to back out of it. That was a good move there. Alessandrini now feeling pressure from Tomo, but Morgan Burkhardt is all over Kyle Herbst in the 89. That would be a pass for 6th, and crucial passes for Burkhardt to make as the points leader. Side by side for 2nd.
I was about to note that O'Gorman going for 2nd place. Can't stay to the outside. He's going to try to stay to the outside. Great job keeping overlap there. He'll have to run into turn number 4, but I was about to talk about that Burkhardt. This is key for him to make up positions quickly. With Alessandrini not leading this race and possibly dropping back another position, he has to make up big time here.
Perhaps friendly fire here, 94 versus 61, side by side into 4. Alessandrini slides in front of Tom. A little bit of contact there, maybe nose to tail. Look at how great this is. Oh, more contact.
Wow, I don't know if O'Gorman really appreciated that. Tried to stuff it to the inside there, and obviously more contact. They're going to wreck in the back. Big wreck. It's Caleb Patry and Kyle Herbst destroyed in the guard.
Holy cow, that was a big crash there and a big boom. You heard it in the background. Here's a look at what happened. Herbst and, as you mentioned, Patry in the 898 right there. Oh, they get together and whoa.
Wow, it's a hellacious hit, my goodness.
Right into the end of the Armco there. That was nasty. But Pallotta free and clear of the 2 drivers behind. O'Gorman and Alessandrini fought amongst themselves. It's a 1-second gap up to Pallotta, but I think O'Gorman's got the pace to run him down. Now that he's dispatched Alessandrini, who seems to be struggling with overall grip right now.
We saw him slide into turn number 4, which is sort of uncharacteristic of Alessandrini, as he's going to try to stay with O'Gorman here. As you see Carlos Pratt come out of the pits, Burkhardt falls back, hits a few cones, but sort of not something we've seen from us in Journey. Oh, that was almost a big shot. Seal almost in the back of Chrissy, but this is uncharacteristic. We haven't seen this much from Allison Jr. where he's struggling to keep track position.
Yeah, you know, we've noted across a variety of broadcasts in the TCR cars that, you know, DJ is, while he's extremely talented, this is not exactly the best car for his driving style. He's performed well, but he hasn't been the dominant force that he typically is. And I think you're seeing him struggle just a little bit. He's sliding the car around a bit more than I think he was expecting it would. Have a look at the track temperature, 101. It's a little bit on the warm side. That could be contributing, but there's others behind that are still locked in battle. Faraz Barzinji, Robbins, Gruber, and more.
Talk about locked in battle. The battle's for the 8th position. Todd Rushing actually gets away. It's now a battle for 9th. Well, Robbins sent it up the inside of Faraz Barzinji. This is not a place you want to see too wide happen, but they're going to barely make it work.
Camden Gruber sees all of it out the windshield. Big understeer from Robbins, pushes wide, but he carries good speed. Morgan Burkhardt, who we documented earlier, kind of clawing his way forward, didn't qualify as well as we would have expected. He's one spot better than he was when the green flag dropped, and he's looking at P5 right now off Ken Halseal. But this is a pretty critical night for him as he comes in only leading by 3 points over Alessandrini, and he's 3 spots behind DJ right now.
It was crucial to get that one position because it's put him in this sort of lead pack, a pack of 6, a line of 6, if you will. Very separated from 7th place Todd Rushing by over 3 seconds. So one position might not seem like much, but it's a difference from being here and 3 seconds back potentially.
Well, Tomo has caught Andrew Pilata, so the battle for the lead is on. And now with Alessandrini about 7/10 back from Tom O'Gorman, I think that's going to leave Tom with enough space where he feels comfortable going for a pass here. Knocking cones over on the back straightaway, tumbling down the backstretch, everyone avoiding. And here comes Tom to driver's left. Interesting choice.
Well, Pilata's not giving him driver's right. Pilata's going to defend. He's going to have to shut the inside off. He's not able to do it. O'Gorman's going to stick the nose in there. Surprised he protected the inside line there. O'Gorman's going to try to make it work. More contact. Pilata sort of driving him off track there.
Yeah, not leaving him a ton of room, and that's going to bring DJ right back into the mix there.
No.
More contact there. Pilata using up Tomo, and Tomo is not going to stand for that. He'll keep the nose in. This is fierce stuff for the top spot.
Pilata sort of blocking the road here. O'Gorman wants to go, and he has to go. Alessandrini's back to him just because of that little contact, the sort of scrap they had for the race lead there. Alessandrini's right back in it. O'Gorman's not going to put up with that for too much longer.
I love these cars because of how aggressive you can be. Tom right to the rear bumper, swipes across the rear of the leading Hyundai as they sweep through the carousel and up onto the front straight again. It's a line of 6 cars for the top spot as we are not even halfway through this race. This is just fantastic stuff. I love watching TCR cars race.
I'm so interested to see how Pilata handles this. Like I was talking about earlier, this is the opposite of what he was in the Mustang race. Now he's on the defensive, trying to stay in line, trying to pretty much hold the rest of the back, rest of this lineup. He's going to have to somehow make it work, but O'Gorman is so fast at this stage in the race right now.
Watch him tuck back under, though. Back to the throttle a little earlier. He's going to carry really good speed here. So Pilata, if he gives Tom a lane, Tom is going to pass him. So the question becomes, how little room can you give Tom without just shoving him off track? And he's going to leave plenty this time, at least on the straightaway. When they get to turn 4, though, this is the critical part.
Oh, Gorman's so much better under braking, though. I don't think Pilata even has a chance to defend it.
Not this time. Tom's through to the top spot. He's not quite clear, though. Alessandrini's going to fill the hole behind Tom, and now Tom takes the top spot away. Expertly gets around the outside of 4 through Madness, takes the lead away. Now Pilata second, and now Tom's got to run because he knows Pilata's going to hold up DJ.
Yeah, I was about to say, DJ has to get by him as quickly as possible. That 94 is going to run away. You might want to lay the bumper, might need to lay the bumper to the 96 to get him out of the way quickly, or else you're going to let that 94 of O'Gorman drive away, and he might get passed by Jack Chrissy in the process.
Whoa, big slide there by Jack Chrissy in the number 6. Halseal feels an opportunity coming to get up in this mix. Pilata still hot on Tom's heels. But I don't think it'll take very long for Tom to begin growing that lead. It's 0.3 of a second. Other battles behind for 9th, Gruber, Rushing, Kobach. But this one is not quite as volatile as the one up front.
Pilata can stay close enough to the keyhole. He might have a shot at some sort of look into turn number 4 up to Madness, but he's losing too much time, I would think, to get any sort of run. We'll see what he does out of a keyhole. Big move by Burkhardt there. Halseal shuts it off.
Into the keyhole now. Still, that is P4, 5, and 6. But critically, the blue ASM 94 is stretching a gap on Pilata. 0.3 of a second might seem like not like very much, but that's the biggest the lead's been so far with Tom out front. Not the day for the Audis, though, Connor. Look down the order. First non-Honda or Hyundai is the number 17 of Robbie Wilson, down at 12th.
It's actually moved up from the 16th position. Jermaine Major has moved up 5 positions, 19th and 14th. Rodriguez, 20th and 15th. Carlos Pratt's just gone way wide into the big old sand trap as the Audi's struggling to get through the field, which is not too surprising.
This track really favoring handling cars. You'd think that back straightaway would give the Audi a place to stretch its legs, but perhaps the gearing's not quite right for the exit of the keyhole. It's a pretty critical corner to have speed in. 10 minutes to go, we're halfway through. Tom O'Gorman leads, and it's Pilata, Alessandrini, Chrissy, and Burkhardt, or Chrissy, Hausil, and Burkhardt, your top 6, and they're all in a line.
Surprisingly, though, I thought O'Gorman might stretch it a little bit more, but the gap sort of stayed stagnant there from Madness all the way to the front straightaway. Pilata's keeping in range for a potential move to sort of keep O'Gorman in the sights here.
Yeah, I think the 94 is the fastest car in this group. I just don't know if he's fast enough to break away from the draft. It's not hugely significant, but it's enough, just enough to keep Pilata within striking distance. But it's clear that the lead isn't quite as volatile as it was with the 96 car leading. So there's definitely an advantage to the Honda over the Hyundai here at Mid-Ohio, or at least with the drivers behind the wheel. Tomo's got the slight advantage.
And I think what O'Gorman would need to pull away is for Alessandrini to battle Pilata.
Oh, he slips.
Oh, he's going to slide off from the lead. That's going to put Pilata back in the lead. A huge mistake to make in this stage.
Oh, that is brutal for Tomo, out of the lead and into third place. He's got Chrissy to the inside. He's trying to hang on to it best he can. He should be able to, the rubbing fender's there. He should be able to hang on here if he can stay out front of the left-hander. Just dropped a tire entering turn 6. Oh, a bit of a bump there. Chrissy's going to go wide. Look out. He'll jump on the brakes.
Wasn't really. It was sort of a bit of iRacing net code. No contact. Oh, there's contact. Burkhardt and Hausil have been going at it. Burkhardt's going to get the cold shoulder off the track there. Those two have been going at it, but you can see it's so easy to put tires off in this track, and that's what happened to O'Gorman trying to maximize the corner too much.
That was a gift for Alessandrini. Wow, Tom is using every inch of the road, trying to get back. Got 9 minutes. I wouldn't panic if I'm behind the wheel of that blue 94. I think DJ now has a bit more clear racetrack to work with Pilata. And again, now the roles are reversed. I think Tom's got to hope for DJ to get up on the 96's rear bumper and go for the top spot here.
We'll see if that's possible. I think Alessandrini was looking to be a little bit faster, but he never really had an attempt to get the Andrew Pilata, so maybe that's not the case. I think the best thing for O'Gorman here is to sort of focus down and hope they do battle. I think he still can catch Alessandrini back even if they don't battle, but passing 2 cars in a short amount of time, that's going to be pretty difficult.
Well, he's got the fastest lap by 0.4 of a second over anybody else here. Tom does. So we know that he is quicker when he's out front. But can he run down the 61 and 96 in just 8 minutes? That's a bigger challenge than leading the race and running quick laps. Maybe having a rabbit to chase is going to be good for him, though. All the way to the edge of the track over turn 9. And DJ is slowly nipping away at this gap to the 96.
I think by the end of this race, Andrew Pilata is going to have the most used up rear bumper of any race this season because he got the bumper from O'Gorman a little bit. I would not be surprised if Alessandrini gave him a little bit of a shot as well.
7 minutes and 50 seconds to go. And Pilata and Alessandrini are really even matched tonight, it seems. Neither could stay out in front of Tom for very long. This is the closest battle on the racetrack at the moment. We'll keep you here for now. And Alessandrini's got a really good run into the keyhole, but he's going to have to kind of force this. I don't think he's going to get a natural opportunity unless Pilata makes a mistake, which he hasn't made a ton of mistakes tonight. Tom is closing, though. He's down to half a second behind Alessandrini. That was almost a full second a lap ago.
Yeah, Alessandrini might be close enough to make a move into turn number 4. He has slipstream. He has the option to make a bit of a dive if he wants to. He definitely has the run. We'll see what he does here. Pilata's going to go defensive.
As he has into turn 4. Breaks a little early. Doesn't leave enough of a width for DJ to pull up alongside. Tom closes the gap back. And now the 94 is right back in the mix for the lead. And look at these two holding each other up.
Bumping each other as well. That Warren rear bumper is going to come into play. Alessandrini's going to use his front bumper to maybe get by here. He doesn't have much time left, though. O'Gorman is closing fast.
Into 9 now. Again, it's all about the slightest little mistakes and being able to capitalize. I think Tom's a little too far back to jump on top of tiny mistakes. He can jump on big ones, though. And DJ will have to force Andrew to make one.
Palada's going to go defensive here. He is not going to give the inside to Alessandrini one bit, but it's going to hurt his run down the short front stretch into turn number 1 a little bit. Alessandrini won't have enough to make a move. He's going to have to go a little bit defensive here.
So I guess what I'm not sure about is, should Tom force a pass on DJ, or should he wait for DJ to dispatch Palada first? If you're a betting man, I think you're going to bet on DJ being quicker than Palada in the long runs here. So maybe you want to pass the 61 first. And here comes DJ. Big swing out to the left into the keyhole.
Yeah, Palada did not get a good run. Way too wide on exit. Just didn't have the run. Alessandrini forced a little wide there. O'Gorman's gearing it up, diamonding the corner for the run, exiting. We'll see if he gets enough, but it's going to be the battle for Alessandrini and Palada for the race lead.
Yeah, that was a great move from Tom to straighten out the exit and gain some speed, but here comes DJ to driver's right. That Hyundai is not fast in a straight line. Are they going to bang doors here into turn 4?
That was surprising. Palada came across him to sort of hit him there, but Alessandrini's going to clear easily for the lead. Palada's going to try some crossovers, but O'Gorman's going to fill that hole.
Up the inside in turn 5, a little bit of a touch there, leaning on each other. This is a critical point of the race here. Tom cannot waste any time behind the 96 now that DJ is free and clear. He just can't afford to run door-to-door with the 96 for more than a corner or two.
Oh, he's looking to force it, just can't do it there. I'm surprised Palada didn't protect the inside like he has been. He gave it to Alessandrini. It just made it too easy for the 61. Now O'Gorman has to rush it here.
5 minutes to go, coming to about 4 laps left. Already see the 61 gaining a little bit of ground. Palada defensive into the carousel, but closes back on DJ. This is great stuff here. Now look, Ken Seal and Morgan Burkhardt are right behind as well. So 5-horse race for first place here.
This is big for Burkhardt. He's got to get through a few of these guys with Alessandrini now leading this race. He also has to hope O'Gorman can get by Palada and go for the race lead, because that 94 is Morgan Burkhardt's best friend, no doubt, right now. O'Gorman to be outside.
Yeah, if Tom can make this work, he's going to be in good shape, I think. Around the long way here in the keyhole, rather. Can he tuck in and build a run? He should be able to easily pass Palada now on this back straightaway. Here he comes. Palada's going to try to go defensive, but can Tom get the nose in?
Oh, boy. Oh, Palada's going to chop him there.
He's got him. He's to the inside now.
Oh, they're going to touch, though. Palada not giving him any sort of arc into the corner. They're going to touch again by the time they're out of turn number 4. Ooh, there it is.
That was a beautiful little touch there by Tom to just get the overlap that he needs to get alongside Palada and clear him. Beautifully done. Here comes Seal now to the inside. Tom back to second place, and a touch there between the 23 and 96, who's just getting freight trained.
Which is not surprising. He's sort of been holding this line up a little bit the entire race. He's going to send Burkhardt into the grass, sends himself into the grass. He's going to slide and save it, but just like that, he went from leading about 2 laps ago all the way to 5th.
Yeah, that was, looking back at that pass that Tom had into turn 5, this is about as expert as it gets. Let's just go back a couple more seconds. Watch the 94. Just tiniest of touches to the 96 and just moves him a little bit. All fair game, and gets the pass done. 3 minutes to go, and Tom's set on running that 61 car down. This is probably the toughest task of all.
Surprisingly to me, Tom O'Gorman probably has more patience than me. I would have been infuriated with Palada sort of holding me up. I probably would have hit him a bit harder, but very smart and very professional way to send someone, I would say.
Yeah, well, Tom's not a guy that will just run through you. He's not going to knock you out of the way, and he's very clear that he doesn't want to be raced that way, and he races how he wants to be raced. And that tiniest little touch, you could even probably argue that you didn't touch him, but that was very, very close. An expert move there by Tom. 2.5 minutes left. Tom's 6/10 back. Not out of the question yet. He's going to have to get a little lucky, though.
I wouldn't say lucky, but he's going to have to find a little bit of magic. It's a little different, I suppose. Obviously, just repeated what you said, but he is going to have to focus really hard here. We don't know who has the better tire advantage, because we saw Alessandrini really sliding around, but we saw the one big slide by O'Gorman into the grass and really had to slide all 4 tires to save it. So who knows how much he really has left to go chase after Alessandrini.
I'm not sure he's got a ton. DJ hasn't been perfect tonight, but he's been in position to take advantage of drivers' mistakes more than anyone else has. And it's been a hard-fought battle all night long. We're coming to what should be 2 laps to go. And it's 0.6 of a second still, now half a second. Tom's a lot better in this last corner than Alessandrini is. So 2 to go now. Alessandrini leads by 0.6 still. Is there anything that the 94 can do? Behind him, they're pretty much nose to tail, half a second apart. So no pressure from behind anymore.
O'Gorman a 1/10.5 faster than Alessandrini that time by, but it's just going to take a little bit more than that to chase down the 61 because he's already got to catch him, and then passing was another thing. We've heard that so many times, but it's just the reality of the situation.
Checking back in, it's been pretty neat and tidy behind the leaders tonight, but Firas Barzinji and Todd Rushing are running for 8th place right now, and this is perhaps a bit more volatile than the front two.
Yeah, pretty much the top 6 have spread out from one another. Barzinji and Rushing have sort of been where they started. Barzinji up 1 spot, same for Todd Rushing, so they've pretty much been stagnant here as they battle for these few top 10 positions left.
A gain for Tom through turn 4 and 5, just about a 1/10 of a second pickup. He was 2/10 faster than DJ the last time by, and he might be 2 or 3/10 quicker this time by, but he's need more than that.
Wow.
Right to the edge of the racetrack at turns 8 and 9.
Really tried to push the entry. Halcyon pushed the exit a bit too much in the grass, but he's able to keep it under control. O'Gorman just didn't hit the apex there, though. I don't know how much time that would have gained. We'll see how much he gains in the final 2 corners this time, but he's running out of time.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he can get there without Alessandrini making a pretty significant mistake, but he has put the effort in tonight as we come out of the final corner. White flag this time for DJ Alessandrini. 1 more to go, and it has been a hard-fought season. He has won 4 of the 6 races that we've completed so far, and this would be the 5th if he could get it done. But this one did not come easy.
And this should be the points lead. Morgan Burkhardt back in 4th place, just sort of helpless. That qualifying effort just sort of did him in. Not a lot of passing between the top 6 who broke away, and Alessandrini's been able to sort of play his cards just right to get the lead here, but O'Gorman is still closing.
Yeah, he's not, I wouldn't say within striking distance, but he is close. 4/10 of a second. If DJ overdrives turn 4, then it could be game on, but it's going to take a lot of lunging by Tom to get this done. And as I mentioned, he's not just going to drive in there and take you out, but you see headlights flashing on the 23. He wants someone to be distracted here. Couple corners left, half a lap left rather for Tom, chasing the Hybrid Racing Civic.
O'Gorman got through 4 so well, though, and through 5 as well. He's going to have 1 shot, but it's just how aggressive is he going to want to be to try to get this race win for Alessandrini. I think he's there to make something happen. I just don't know if he wants to make it happen.
Well, into turn 9, he closes. I think you got to be on the bumper by this point. I don't think he can make the lunge, but it was a valiant effort from Tom O'Gorman. He led a couple laps early, made a single mistake, but he rebounded nicely. Had a great battle with the 96, who has dropped all the way to 5th place. As we get the last corner, Tom O'Gorman right to the rear bumper, but not close enough. For the 5th time this season, DJ Alessandrini, after a hard-fought race, will be victorious at Mid-Ohio, his home track. Tom O'Gorman, also a native Ohioan, he comes home 2nd. Ken Ausiel 3rd, Morgan Burkhardt, Andrew Pilata, the rest of the top 5. For 8th place, Firas Barzinji, Todd Rushing.
Barzinji's going to be able to defend the inside there. Rushing just couldn't make it work.
Great battle between those two. Barzinji P8, Rushing P9, Kobach P10. And 5 drivers DNF'd this race. Ida Waxman, Kyle Herbst, Patry, Chow, and Lausen. As we finish things up, let's have a look at our race results. That was a fun one. I didn't think it was going to be that close the whole time, but Connor, these cars never disappoint.
That was extremely fun. The top 6 broke away. It was pretty much sort of nose to tail. We didn't know who was going to do what. Pilata, sort of in the opposite situation from the Mustang race, couldn't hold on. The tires sort of went away, and his rear bumper got used up by pretty much everyone who finished ahead of him there. Just couldn't hang on. But Alessandrini, like I said, played his cards just right, was able to get to the lead at the exact right time.
And looking down 11th through 20th, the majority of the rest of the field there. Camden Gruber, Robbie Wilson, Deacon Greenfield, top 15s. And Waxman, Herbst, Patry, and Lausen getting involved in a collision in one way or the other. Herbst and Patry took a real big hit at the exit at turn 6, and their nights were over pretty early on.
Yeah, Peter Lausen and Andrew Chow, there's that tire barrier in that kink to the very right, and they sort of went all the way into that. That's where their race ended. Didn't even really complete many corners, but a few big hits, but a lot of exciting racing otherwise.
Well, exciting for a lot of drivers. Ken Ausiel was just outside that front battle there in the TCRs. Couldn't quite get to the top couple spots, Ken, but you saw all of it out the windshield. It had some defense going on in the mirrors as well. Take us through your fight in the TCR race tonight.
Man, that was a ton of fun. That was a proper TCR race. A little bit of roughness, and everybody was about the same pace, and just who could make the best moves and not make mistakes.
It was hard fought. You mentioned the contact, and it was a little bit of hands-on. Obviously, we don't have the radio turned on. Was there any frustration from drivers with any of that contact? A lot of defensive driving going on, too. So it looked spicy from our perspective. How was it down there on the racetrack?
Honestly, I think everybody was pretty cool with it. Like I said, it's just typical TCR racing, and that's how you make passes sometimes. So.
Well, it was fun to watch, Ken. Congratulations, a P3. And speaking of not only the TCR race, but the Mustang race, you came into the Mustang race 25 points behind Andrew Pilata. That didn't go quite as well. Contact early on, or late in the race, I should say, put you back in the pack. So disappointed in that, or focusing now on TCR for the last week?
No, I'll keep driving both. They're both really fun, and yeah, just unfortunate luck in the Mustang race with Robert spinning, but it is what it is. No big deal.
Is what it is, no big deal. P3, a podium for House Seal in the TCR race. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Moving on now to DJ Alessandrini, who gets it done in TCR. DJ, a hard-fought one. You've won 5 of the 7 this season, but that really doesn't carry the breadth of what happened tonight. You weren't really leading for all that long, kind of got shuffled out of the lead. Tomo took the lead for a while, made a mistake, then you kind of shuffled back by Pilata. Take us through that one. That had to be a pretty fun one for you.
Yeah, the green flag came out a little earlier than I thought it would, so it's kind of a little bit on the back foot. I wanted to leave a little early before the green flag came out, just per the league rules. That gives me an advantage, and then I get a clean sweep through turn 1. Hopefully they're fighting behind me, but the green flag came out like before we were even on the front straight. I should have done some kind of preparation to know that was going to happen. Yeah, so I was on a little bit of a back foot, and Tom was in a hurry once Pilata got by both of us, but I knew his tires are going to burn down to the ground, because that's just seems to be what happens with the Hyundais. So it didn't matter how fast Pilata was right away. So I was content just sitting behind Pilata for the next 10 minutes and then start fighting him, but Tom wanted to fight him right away. So luckily Tom made that mistake when he did, because with the draft that Tom was giving Pilata, I'm not sure if I was ever going to get by him.
Well, it certainly seemed like when Tom was out front, the volatility of that front battle sort of died out, and it was kind of nose to tail until he made that mistake, and it spiced things up a lot. But one of the genuinely fun races I've gotten to call in this TCR category, DJ. These cars are so racy. We've got 1 round left in this series. Takes us to Oulton Park next week. That's a real classic club, touring car circuit. You looking forward to that one?
Yeah, that's like the Mid-Ohio of the UK, so that should be a lot of fun. And yeah, you're right, this track did race really well. Just between the TCRs and Mid-Ohio generally putting on some good battles. Yeah, it was a lot of fun out there. I definitely felt the pressure from Tom's laser eyes behind me toward the end of that race. Honestly, I felt exactly the same as last year when I was fighting Tom for the win in real life. So crazy that the sim brings out those same jitters and emotions.
Well, it was certainly jittery up here. Maybe not the emotional part, but it was fun to watch. DJ, congratulations. We're going to talk to Tom. He just jumped in the booth there as well. So we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Tom O'Gorman comes home in second place, 2/10 back from DJ Alessandrini. Tom, that was a really fun one from our perspective. I'm sure perhaps a little frustrating there at the end to not come out on top. But you had the lead for a bit, made a mistake, fought your way back through. Take us through your fight.
No, that was like the most racing I've done in a long time. It was super fun. I don't know, like once I was in the lead and drove off the track, I don't really know what I did there. Other than drove off the track, I was like, all right, whatever happens, happens. So I felt like did it okay, got job to get back to DJ's bumper. We were hanging out at the shop tonight, and I realized I could still make this race, so I jumped in, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, I'm glad you did. It was certainly volatile is the word I've been using over and over. When you were out front for a little while, it seemed like no one could get by you, and then once you dropped that left rear tire in the dirt and had to fight your way back through it, everything just kind of kicked back off again. So it was a lot of fun, Tom. Also wanted to mention that you're missing a number board on the right side of your paint if you wanted to fix that up.
Yeah, I know. I keep forgetting. Oops.
I saw it last night, and man, I got to tell him about that, so I figured I'd take this opportunity.
I paint as good as I race.
Well,
so close.
Second
but
place.
Not there.
Yeah. All right, Tom. Hey, congratulations. That was a fun one to watch, and congrats last night on your strong run there as well. And we'll see you. Hopefully, we'll see you one more time next week at Oulton Park. That'll be a fun one too.
Thanks, guys. All
right. Have a good night. Connor, that'll wrap things up here. Tom O'Gorman, second place. Ken Alseal, third. DJ Alessandrini in first. TCRs never disappoint. I'm never going to have a different opinion. I just love watching these things race. And we've got one more round before the season's over.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. I believe you said Orem Park, so it's going to be pretty fun. I think it was Alessandrini you said Mid-Ohio of the UK or something like that. So we'll see if that holds true once we go there. But that's another fun little circuit. I haven't really raced there a lot, don't know too much about it, but it should be a blast. It's TCR, so anything TCR is just going to be a blast as we've seen all season long. So I'm pretty excited for the finale of this season.
Yeah, Olden Park next week for the last round of the season, both Mustangs and TCRs. Kyle Heyer alongside Connor Horn. We'll see you next week for one more before we head off to the real racing season. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.